So apparently the software that I am using, Action by Steam, decided to crap out and not record anything on the correct window, and I didn't know this until I was about 24 days into my 100 days. Thank you, Hypixel. It's not your fault, but I'm blaming you anyway. So I am going to have to recap things you didn't see. I ran directly north from Ground Zero, covering several villages along the way. I found a ruined nether portal that I got a gold pick and a gold helm from. This would be important for later. I kept heading north, stopping for a few minutes in order to smelt some pork chops. I am still a cannibal after all. What? You all already knew this. I'm not saying anything that my creator didn't say. At this point, Ground Zero had began advancing due south, so me in my infinite wisdom kept heading north. But Technoblade? The whole point of the 100 Days challenge is to survive against impossible odds on hardcore. Wrong! The point of a 100 Days challenge is to survive for 100 days. No one said anything about avoiding the skulk as long as possible. So while the skulk kept growing, I kept moving. 3 villages later, I had a full set of diamond armor already when I made a discovery just north of an archwood forest. A nether invasion force. That's right, a nether invasion. This mod pack apparently comes with a fully functional nether spreader system, which allows piglins to keep to the overworld without the threat of turning into zombie pigmen. I mean, some of them did, but that's beside the point. I had found my people, my base of operations, my home. So I did what any anarchist would do when confronted with overwhelming odds and foes on all sides. I established myself as the supreme dictator of the nether invasion force. It was us against the skulk, and I would make it my mission from then on to lead my people through these dark times and see an end to the oppressive nature of the skulk. And there's free gold too. In the midst of the nether invasion front, I discovered the nether spreaders. They only did moderate damage to me, unless I stand in one corner of the spreader, and when destroyed, each one gave me 1 to 2 netherite ingots. Ingots, not scraps. Ingots. So a quick trip to the nearby blacksmith, and I had me a full set of netherite armor, having also found patterns in the chests inside the buildings here in the Piglin village. After that, I took down a few buildings here and there, and started to construct myself my castle. I mean, my base of operations in the fight against the skulk. Don't judge me. Okay, I miss my crown. After I moved everything from the top of one of the buildings, in which I holed up for a few nights until the piglins calmed down, I mined some of the gold blocks atop their homes, and one of them flipped out on me. Wish I'd managed to save that. Poor guy was wigging out something fierce. It was like that Ender Zealot all over again. I finally made my ways to my new home and began planting carrots, nearly being murdered by hoglins when I came home. But Technoblade? Carrots? You're a potato guy. Yes, I know, but potatoes can't be golden. And even a noob player knows that golden carrots have the highest saturation rate of any food in the game. So, carrots. Anyway, I started wending my way north again, finding a pillager outpost where I picked up 2 Totem of Undying. Nice. And it was there that the first mutant, Skulk Enderman, found me. This was a big problem. I had barely gotten my netherite armor and still had no enchants on it yet, so I had to trap it. Unfortunately, the damn thing kept teleporting me around, and in panic I almost died twice. Lucky for me, I had golden carrots and a couple golden apples. Trapping it, I managed to kill it after a solid 5 minutes of hitting it with my netherite ace. The battle axe was made later, but the skulk infection there called something else as well. A warden. Oh boy. Running from the summoned warden, which I discovered really hates the skulk mobs, I realized only one reason why the warden would have been summoned this far up, into Skulk, by a shrieker. There was an ancient city directly below me. Making my way down with an umbrella I found early on in the second village, I coasted all the way down unto the deep dark and found my way into the city. While the wardens were distracted with all the noise the Skulk horde was making, I swept about and picked up everything from every random chest I could find. The greatest victory is that which requires no battle. Well, okay, not everything. Some things I just didn't need, but I did find enough echo shards for the cure. Sun Tzu believed that strength is about much more than size and resources. As he said, in war, numbers alone confer no advantage. You can overcome even daunting obstacles, by being more innovative. Sun Tzu recognized the limitations of resources, but he didn't have a whole load of mobs chasing him to the ends of the earth. I needed everything I could find that would be useful in the coming war. And a lot of those things were potions. Turns out weakness potions work really well on the harder skulk masses, and the regen potions were a godsend. Not that I believe in God, but if I did, he would have sent these. Returning home, I defended my base from more hoglins and called it as night. It was today that I began to research the cure. To cure the skulk, I need what's called pure souls, which I can only get from purifying crying souls, which come from infested crying obsidian. So first Io needed to find crying obsidian, and then place it in the skulk to infect it. Only problem is, that just standing on the skulk also hurts me. Great. After a bit of trial and error and almost dying, I discovered that purification flasks, which were pretty easy to make with all this gold, would push back the skulk, allowing me into the infested lands. The problem was that I needed to locate amethyst clusters. So, back to the caves I went. That's what you're watching during this. What little bits I did manage to save along the way of what was recorded. That is where part 1 of this adventure ends. With any luck, I can complete this 100 days and get the next video out sometime before the end of the month. Maybe.